What up, fellow ESO fans? I'm Dutch, and I'm making this video to share my Magica with you. He is for PvP specifically. A lot of people are not running the Magicas in PvP presently, just due to the fact that it's not exactly the easiest class to play right now as far as PvP goes when you have Nightblades and such running around. But there is an effective way to play it. There's a lot of different versions out there, and I just want to share with you mine because it would be awesome to see more Magic DKs in Cyrodiil and Imperial City Sewers just wrecking face on the enemy. That'd be great. So without further ado, this is my Magic DK, Lord Dutch Reaper, and he's unique this time in the fact that since the Dark Brotherhood patch has dropped, he's now wearing 5-piece heavy. He's sporting the Assassin's chest and Assassin's leg with a trim and neck helm, and due to the passives of heavy, I decided to go ahead and try build out with them. So if you look right here for Constitution, I mean, yeah, it gives health recovery, whatnot, but here's the big thing, people. It also restores Magica and stamina each time he's hit once every 4 seconds. And that amount currently is at 930. And that's like almost a homage, I guess you could say, to the old Magic DK pre 1.5, if you ever played one of those where you were just constantly having resources. Now, just because you throw on 5-piece heavy does not mean you're going to be unkillable. It doesn't mean you're going to 1vx like a boss and wreck. I'm not a good player, I'm not even a great player. I'm just a guy who loves PvPing, and I find this build to be very effective. So that's the first part of why I made a 5-piece heavy. And this is the second part. When you wear 5 or more pieces, you can gain 20 weapon and spell damage for 6 seconds when you take damage, stacking up to 10 times. So essentially you can get an extra 200 spell damage for your Magic DK just because you're taking damage, and then you're also getting resources back once every 4 seconds. It's nice. Now, he does have his full Undaunted level, so because of that, he's wearing a medium helmet and he's wearing light boots. And I know that I should probably have a light sash instead of the heavy, but you know, like Fonzie, man, always be cool, right? I mean, you gotta look cool. So until I find a set of heavy sabatons to make, then, or you know, he's just gonna have to sport these for right now. But the sets he's wearing is 5 Cags, which is great. I mean, it's a really great 5-piece set. If you're a Magic user in PvP, this is a really good set to use. I mean, in my opinion, as far as the Magic DK goes, it's best to have a well-rounded character to play in PvP as a Magic DK. If you put everything into like spell damage, you're not going to have your resources. You're just going to continuously get wrecked more than you're going to be wrecking. If you put more into resources, you're not going to, you know, your little wet noodle isn't going to hit hardly anything, right? So you got to find that balance. And with the new passives to heavy armor, this has helped me out quite a lot. Previously I had 5 light, and now I'm running 5 heavy. He does have a medium helm, like I said, and he has the light shoes. The other set he's wearing is a Vicious Death set. And the Vicious Death is just really great for a Magic DK user to wear. A lot of people are complaining about this set, but it does wonderful things for you as a DK, because when you have all those people ganging up on you, just get one guy down. If you can just really focus one dude who's not purging your dots, or you know, who looks like he's just out of stam and he can't, you know, break for another CC that you're about to throw on him, this is going to be a game changer. I mean, my guy is a Dunmer, he's a dark elf, and look at that. I mean, the enemy will explode for 22,000 flame damage, so obviously half that for Cyrodiil, but this is great, you know. So with that being said, the set Vicious Death, I mean, you're getting spell damage, you're getting Magica, you know, you're getting spell critical. I could care less about critical in PvP on a DK. On a Magic DK, I don't really care about spell critical. I need to maintain my resources, I need to be able to take a beating, and I need to be able to do some sort of damage to keep pressure on the guy, okay? That's your goal as a Magic DK. And I find that this build helps me do that. So he's wearing, again, the 5 Kagranax and the Vicious Death set. I've noticed that Vicious Death pieces are starting to go up in price, especially the jewelry, which he's also wearing. Those are really starting to shoot up in price right now, so if you can, get them while you can. The other piece he's wearing is a Moloch Kenna set, the one piece, just because I want to get a little bit more spell damage. Now, I will say this, his weapons that he runs currently is 2 swords, because with the 2 swords you get increase in spell damage as well. On both swords is sharpened, and that's because as a heavy armor wearer, you're not getting spell penetration. You know, when we wore 5 light, like in the previous patch, you got that spell critical, which I've already said I don't care about for this, and you also get spell penetration. Well, by putting sharpen onto both weapons here, and then putting points into spell penetration, you can essentially get the same spell penetration you would have had as if you were wearing 5 light. So that's my rationale for doing that. As you'll see, I have disease on both of these right here. The staff, which is a resto, and the sword, due to the fact that if I can put my health defile on this guy, you know, the enemy, that's just going to help me, you know, with my limited DPS that I can do as it is. So I was experimenting with the unresistible damage on this sword, and I'll tell you right now, I'm going to end up swapping that out, and I'm going to put a spell damage glyph on there, the one that will proc when you use it. So I will end up putting that on there. You'll see that on the jewelry I have I have magic recovery for 2 pieces, and I have spell damage for this piece. More than likely, I'm probably going to end up dropping the spell damage on this one and putting another magic recovery, just because I think my spell damage is fine exactly where it's at with this setup. And again, it's all about a resource game, right? It's all about the resources. On his back bar is the resto, like I said, and this is great for getting back resources. There's the Constitution passive that when you're getting hit, you're getting back resources. Well, when you do a heavy attack, you also get back resources. And not only do I have something that's ranged that can help me build ult, but also when you do a heavy attack with it, you'll increase your healing by, let's just go look. I want to say it's 25%. Yeah, so you gain major mending for 3 seconds after completing a fully charged heavy attack, increasing your healing done by 25%. So that's a really big plus. I mean, plus whatever damage you do, portion of that will go to an ally for healing. So that's a really good way to not only get your resource back, especially if you hold block and you're taking any kind of magic damage. You also get some magic return back, but it's just really good to have, especially since we as DKs, our green dragon's blood, our coagulated blood is broken, and I don't think they're going to fix that anytime soon. So that's why I'm running the resto staff right now. You'll also notice that both of these are CAGs. So if I go to the staff bar, I'm not going to complete my Vicious Death set, because on the bar 1, that's where my damage is really coming from. That's where I'm really trying to kill people, not the back bar. Also, I have right now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of CAGs up here right now. Well, why am I doing that? I do that because sometimes I like to just go ahead and right in the middle of PvP, I'll throw on Bloodspawn, or I'll throw on some Valkynscoria right here. It honestly just depends on what mood I'm in. But normally, 99.9% of the time, this is the exact setup that I run on this guy. Maybe one day I'll actually get a VMA resto staff and I'll slot that sucker right here. But until then, this is what I'm doing. I also went with the sharpened on this one as well, due to the fact that there are a couple abilities that I do use on the bar that can do damage, and I want them to be able to penetrate as much as possible, even though it's not my main DPS bar. Here's his stats right now. This is really nice to have because look at that, got the little bug right here because he was holding a resto staff. So now it bugged out. They need to fix it. Anyways, his stats right here, I'm very happy with it. We got, you know, on the back bar 28,000 health, 33.1 on magic, and 16.6 or 16.8 on the maximum stamina. When you go to bar 1, his health will actually increase because of structured entropy. I like having between 15 and 18 stam on my magic DKs when I play them in PvP. I do have a magic DK that I use for PvE, for trials and dungeon DPS, a completely separate character, and his build and his stats are completely different to this. And that's really important. You got to make peace with that right now. You are not going to be 40,000 Magica on your PvP DK. If you are, you're going to be lacking here, you're going to be lacking here, and you're going to get wrecked. Because you need these resources to do what you do. Look at that, 1700 on the Magica recovery without popping a potion. That's really helpful because you got to get your resources back. And like I said, on the neck piece of the Vicious Death, I'm going to go back and I'm going to throw another magic recovery on that to get this over 1800. And I found that 1800 or more was perfect as far as constantly getting Magica back and being able to just constantly do DPS in PvP. It worked out really good for me. So he is a vampire as well, and you'll notice that I keep him in stage 4 because you get the lower ult cost on your bats. You get the Dark Stalker passive now with Dark Brotherhood. So when you're sneaking, you're reducing how much stam you're eating up, and it's really nice to have. His boon is the Atro, so get that magic recovery up. Again, if you pump everything into spell damage, it's not going to work out too well for you. This build, I can run it solo, I can run it with a group, big or small. It just depends on what situation I'm in. You'll notice, remember we talked about the 2 swords. I told you 2 swords gives you more spell damage compared to just a resto, and there you go. That's why, right there. And that's why, because the Magic DK is already lacking some high DPS numbers as it is in PvP, and I think if you go with a sword and shield, yeah, you could do it. You're going to be tanky, but you don't need it because, I mean, look, unbuffed, we're at 21,200 on spell resist, and we're over 15k on physical resist. I mean, he's already tanky, you know? And I got Impin on 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces right here. I got Divine on these 2 because I told you I need to get that magic recovery up. I got Divine on these 2 pieces, and I put Reinforced on the chest. And I was actually messing around with that a lot, putting different abilities, or I should say traits, on the chest pieces, and I like the Reinforced trait. It actually just made me a little bit more survivable, and it works. But that Impin is really important to get. It's really, really important. You need to be running Impin because there are people who, unlike me, they think critical is everything in PvP, and they're hoping that their critical burst is going to kill you. So you need to run this to make sure that it doesn't kill you. Bar 1, it's pretty much like every single other DK. I mean, really, every other Magic DK is going to have their Flame Lash. Every other DK is going to have Burning Talons, which got a nice buff, by the way, from the last patch. Burning Embers. This one has saved my life quite a lot, especially if you just tag a few people, and if someone doesn't put the purge on, or you just constantly reapplying it, you can, get a little bit of heal back. If they purge it off, you get a heal. If they leave it on, not only is it doing ridiculous damage to them, but you are going to get a very nice heal from that. Deep Breath. A lot of people draw Essence because they want to get those resources back. With this build, you're not going to have to worry about getting your resources back because of what we've already discussed. There is nothing more I like than to have someone like a caster around me who's trying to cast an ability or do a channel, and I pop this and I bring them to their knees and get that free proc. And then Talon them, Ember them, and just rinse and repeat. It's great. So, Structured Entropy. This one is a changeout bar because sometimes if I'm in a group, I'll run igneous weapons, to help out the group. But mainly I'll keep this on here. 1, because it gives me Magica recovery because it's a mage's ability, and because of the passive from the Mages Guild, which allows me to get my little free buff when I use it within 5 seconds of another damage ability. So yeah, casting Mage's Guild ability grants you Empower, increasing the damage of your next attack by 20% as long as it's activated within 5 seconds. So I'm increasing my spell damage and I can get an Empower attack. So And then of course, you got to have this Devouring Swarm. This is just great. You're doing massive amounts of damage and you're also getting healed. So you have a potential, you got the proc heal here, you got a heal here, you got a really nice one here, especially the more people that are around, just the more healing you're getting. You got a dot or a heal over time, a hot right here. And then you got an AoE heal plus damage. So they all do damage, and all of them except this one can give you a heal. So it's a very survivable build. This one is where things get a little different. This is just fantastic. If you are a Magic DK, you want to become a vampire just because of this ability alone. It's basically a magic snare removal. It's great. So you don't have to worry about roll dodging out of stuff all the time. Now you can just pop Elusive Mist. You can get some movement speed, which is increased by 30% for 4 seconds. And you're resistant to 75% of damage. And you can't be CC'd or snared. It's wonderful. Now you're not going to get Magica back. You're not going to be able to heal yourself while you're in this. But I tell you what, it's really helpful, and it's not coming off my bar anymore. I'm really glad they made the change in this update. It's worth it, and I highly recommend slotting it. Empowering Change. This is another ability. I'm going to, it's my gap closer. If you're a PvPer, you got to have some sort of gap closer for your build, and this one does it for me. It works. Now, is it perfect? No. But it works. I find that if you put your target reticle a little bit above the target's head, it will generally pull you to them if it's not going off when you want it to. It is a little buggy on incline, so hopefully that gets fixed in the future, but we got to work with what we got, right? So the next one, this is my favorite one. Out of the bar 1 and bar 2, this is my absolute favorite ability. And then Elusive Mist is second. This one right here is essentially a fear. You know, the Nightblades bomb in, they fear you, you go running away, and you're trying to break CC. That's this, except you can cast it multiple times on a guy, unless he's CC immune. So basically, you hit a guy with it, he grabs his head, he kneels over or hunches over, and he's crying, shaking his head, and then you just start wailing a DPS on him. So generally, they'll break out of it, wait 6 seconds, do it again. You want to keep this up, you want to keep hitting them with this as much as you can. To keep them breaking and using up their stamina. I never let this channel for 3 seconds. Let me repeat. I never let this channel for the full 3 seconds. As soon as I hit it, I hit my block button or I swap bars to cancel it right away. Because the only thing I want from this is the fear it does to the guy. Alright? The other thing it'll give you is a little bit of health back, which is nice, especially if you chain yourself, get 20% next attack, and then hit this to him. It's really nice. It's a good combo to use. So is Empowering Chains to Deep Breath. That's really nice. So these three will never change. They are always on the bar. And then I have Reflective Plate, which is good because you get the passive from right here. Increases healing received by 12% while a Draconic Power ability is active. And this one, once you pop it, not only does it give you spell resistance, but it also lasts for 23 seconds. I used to use the other one, which was increasing the damage of projectiles back to the attacker. I need to be survivable with this right now. I'm not really going for the highest DPS. I just need to be able to do DPS and stay alive. And this works, especially when you pair it with this. The Volatile Armor. You're getting a massive spell resist and physical resistance buff for 20 seconds. This is really nice. And it's also doing magic damage over time for 10 seconds when enemies are getting close to us. So this is the only thing on this bar that I will change out. I will change it out to Proxy Debt. I will change it out to a healing resto ability. But other than that, nothing else changes. That is it. That's how that one goes. And then I have Shooting Star right here, which is just great overall. I have Shooting Star on the back bar because I like to have all my DPS that I constantly use on this bar. I know that if I put Shooting Star right here, paired with this Mage's Guild ability, because that'll be 2, I'll actually have even more magic recovery, but I just like having this right here because when I'm in the heat of battle and I just want to be able to pop it and I want to swap and just want to go. So that keeps my magic recovery basically the same on both bars as it is. Let's see. I don't really think there's anything else. Oh, almost forgot. Champion points. My apologies. So here we go. I have 60 into spell erosion. So that puts me at 3314 for spell penetration. Remember I was told you I wanted to get basically to almost what it would be like for 5 piece light, because I don't care about the critical. Well, maybe a little bit because apparently I got 7 over here, but I wanted to be able to get that same penetration back, so that's why I put that there. Paired it up with 2 swords with penetration or sharpened, and I find it works great, especially with the testing it in the PTS compared to live. It worked out really good. And then I have 90 into Elemental Expert here. I put 90 because once you go really over 80, the negative return you get for pumping your points in is really noticeable. So I want to be able to spread more points out. So I got 90 into there. I don't have any in the Atro tree, and I got 10 in the Thermaturge right here, just because we do have some dots that we are putting on. But again, with this patch, I'm not really focused on too many dots, so to speak, unless I slot a Scoria set. Then I'll probably come in here and pump a little bit more, but I'll probably take them out of that spell critical. But other than that, that's where in the blue tree where everything's at. I do have 39 in the spell shield here, and then 8 in resistant. That's just what I like. It works out for me. 50 in the Hardy and 70 in the Elemental Defender. I chose 70 for the Defender because, one, I am a Vamp, and although I am Dark Elf, I do have some fire mitigation. It's just nice to have a little bit more because Cold Fire, if you've ever been hit by it, hits really hard, and this just really helps out. And there's nothing better than some Stand Blade trying to pop up on you and hit you, and you got 50 in the Hardy, and you're wearing 5 piece heavy. And you're like, oh, I'm still here. What's up, man? And then I have nothing into the Lord. This one is a little bit of a controversy for some people because I only have 57 into my reduced Magica cost. Some people will tell you to put more. That's fine. Experiment with it. Try it out. I put 57 there and I put 100 here because I want to get that recovery back. And the reason I put 100 here is because I told you to get the resources back that you need, you got to do that heavy attack, right? So I know I'm going to do a heavy attack, and while I'm doing the heavy attack, I'm going to be, you know, regenning those resources, so to speak, and it just works out really good. And then I have 10 into tumbling because every now and then you got to roll dodge. What can I say? There are some skills that come at you and you need to roll out of the way. It's good to have some in here. I actually recommend putting 20. I don't know where you can actually take them from, but 10 is what I got left over right now. Now let me come down here and I'd like to show you exactly how, 1, the fear thing works, and then 2, buffing up. So as you see, 2253 is where we're at, okay? 2253. Let me say hi to these guys. There we go, come on over here. Alright. We're at 2253. He's hitting me, it's going up. So we know we're going to get an extra 200 there. If he continuously pounds on me instead of pausing like that. So it's going up. He's obviously, albeit slowly. Let's see if we can get his buddy in on. Oh, I don't know where his friend went. Alright, well we're up to about 20, what was that, 23, 24, 13? Okay. Little spell damage buff. Now we're at 2943. So we're like at 3k when we're fully buffed up there. That's not bad. This is what I was telling you about with that fear, right? And then just block it or swap weapons, and then you just start wailing on them. That's how that one works. So you just swap out. But that's pretty much the build. I hope you enjoyed it. Oh, look at that, a chest. I hope you all have a great one, and hope to see you in Cyrodiil on a Magic DK Wrecking Face. Oh, and one more thing. I'd like to thank Nova, Nim, Whirls, Mongo. Without y'all, I wouldn't be able to have all the gold tempers. I really appreciate it. You made making the build possible. Thanks a lot. See y'all in PvP.